Hey, all, are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Hi, yes, I
Hey,
can.
Mulli. Thanks, Mulli, for the confirmation. Host will join in a couple of minutes, team. So once host joins, we can join. We can start it. Till host joins for a couple of minutes, I'll show you the IBHNA chapter page. this Chennai chapter page. I provided the link also in the chat window. In this, you can go to events and you can see the chapter events. And here you will have today's session and all the past events that we have had. So we will update for the future sessions also shortly. You will also be able to see the chapter offices and the secretary here in IIB Chennai chapter.
Hey Krishna, can you hear me?
Hi, Raghupati. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm trying to join on my laptop, but that link doesn't seem to be opening. But in any case, I think I'll keep trying. I think we're already 6 minutes over, so
So what's the issue?
I don't know. The that Zoom link is just not opening for me. Um, I've tried a couple of times, so
So it's the same way in which how you're trying from the. I can share the slide pack as well, and you can
yeah,
present as well. That's the other way you
sure.
can
If you
try.
can, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to download it. Give me a minute.
Cool. Let me know, and I'll.
It's gone to it's gone into the edit mode. I'm not able to put in the full screen. Uh,
Okay.
is this the full screen? Screen mode. Yeah, I got it in the full screen.
Okay. Awesome. So, hi everyone. My name is Raghu, and can I get started, Krishna? You
Sure,
have anything?
sure. Okay. Yeah, sure. We can start. You please introduce yourself
Sure.
and provide the
Awesome.
context.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining on a weekend and being part of this session. And Krishna and I have worked together earlier when we were together at Virtusa. And so thank you, Krishna, for inviting me. So you can move to the next slide,
Thanks
Krishna.
a lot for coming over.
Yeah, my pleasure. So that's about me. So I have done my engineering in electronics and communication from MS Rama Institute of Technology, Bangalore. And I have also done an MBA from a college called Great Lakes Institute of Management, Chennai. And so I completed my engineering in 2009. And after that, I got placed in Infosys. Like those days, a lot of people used to get placed in like Infosys, TCS, Cognizant, and so on and so forth. So I got placed in Infosys and went through the Infosys training and started off as a database developer, ETL developer. So I was working with tools like Informatica, Talend, working with databases like Oracle, SQL Server, Netezza, and so on and so forth. After working with Infosys for about 3 years, then I went on to join a company called Hawkwind Financial Services, and that was for a brief period, about 7 months. After which I did my MBA and then joined Virtusa. At Virtusa, I was there for about 3.5 years. I joined Standard Chartered Bank after that. After that, I joined American Express, and I'm currently working at Nutanix Technologies. So yeah, I'm a native of Bihar. I think from the name, a lot of people might have guessed, but I'm born and raised in Bangalore. So I love my South Indian food. So just a fun fact about myself. Apart from that, on the personal front, yeah, I'm happily married since the last 7 years, and I have two children, two sons. So my older one is 2 years old, and my younger one was just born a couple of months back. So that's about my personal side. Outside of work, I am into music, so I do some amount of singing and regularly perform in Bangalore, mostly on weekends. So that's on my front. So maybe if you can go to the next slide, Krishna. Krishna, you're saying something. You're on mute. If you're saying.
I was saying that you have released some albums as well, music albums.
No,
Yes.
yeah, no albums as yet, but yeah, I've been singing for quite some time. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is what keeps me sane at work. So yeah.
Towards the end, if we have some 2 minutes, we'll devote it to
Sure, definitely we'll try. With the poor Wi-Fi and poor audio, hopefully I can do something. Okay, so as a business analyst, right? I think this is so. I'm not going to get into the theory of business analyst. I think you guys are already studying about business analyst roles, responsibilities, the kind of so you would be giving some kind of certification. So I will not get into those kind of things. I'll talk from more from my experience and the personal front. So I started off as a developer. I was doing a lot of software development and all of those things. And then after working for a year and a half, and then I was assigned a different project in Infosys. Just a second. Am I still there? Yeah. Am I still audible? Hello?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Awesome. So I worked for a brief period for about a year and a half as a developer, and then I was assigned a project called. As a it was a production support L3 production support project for Bank of America. The application was an ATM forecasting application. We were basically doing L3 support if there were any tickets, any issues, but we were also building some kind of code along with it. So I was just going through the motion, just doing all of the work. What happened was that when a ticket used to come, we were supposed to kind of acknowledge that within 15 minutes. And we had not received a ticket for quite some time. And my colleague and I, both of us, went on lunch for the at the same time, and we just got a ticket, and we could not acknowledge that within 15 minutes. Within 30 minutes, four levels of managers were at our desk, and they were like, "Okay, what happened, and why couldn't you do that?" So that was a start of a. So we were faced with a business problem, right? And there was this issues we were supporting, and a customer issue had come. We could not acknowledge, and we had built some scripts and to do some auto acknowledgement and all of those things, but they did not kick off. So that is when you start. That was my first introduction to facing a problem and coming up with a solution, trying to do some analysis, right? Could just be like problem analysis and all of those things. So that was I would say, the first time I was like getting into this kind of a role, right? Where I had to do. So then what happened next was did a lot of analysis, did research, right? Trends in the past, when have we received tickets, all of those things. So a lot of analysis, data analysis, a lot of digging into problem areas, trying to find the root cause of the problems, and then trying to come up with different types of solutions. So this was the first time I did something, but my title was not a business analyst. I was just a senior software developer at that point in time. But it kind of gave me the, as you say, right, the first-hand experience of how you deal with problems and how you come up with solutions. Right? After that, I continued doing development and so on and so forth. And as I said, I left Infosys and joined a company called Aquan Financial Services. This was for about 7 months. I joined as a consultant. Again there, so there was in so Aquan Financial Services. If you know, if you don't know also, so the company does loan servicing. So there are investors like big financial services or banks that invest in Aquan, and Aquan kind of gives mortgages to people, right, regular people for housing and so on and so on. And Ocwen charges some service fee and reports to their investors saying that, hey, you know what, so much you have invested, this is what we have lent, and this is what we are receiving as interest. We do investor reporting. That is completely done manually. That was completely done manually. So the task was for us to completely do automation. That was another task where a lot of understanding requirements, understanding people, understanding what kind of processes they are doing, being a fly on the wall, trying to just observe operators, how they are creating reports, which what kind of data are they querying, from where are they getting their data sources, trying to understand how are they building the report, trying to understand the logic behind all of that, and then coming up with some kind of requirements and also doing the development part. So that was, we were three consultants, we were brought into the project, and we built the entire automation around it. That was again my a small experience of, I would say, business analyst come developer. But these are like small problems, I would say. We were mostly doing development work, but the problems were not that big, right? But still, right? So we had to do a lot of stakeholder analysis, talking to people, all of those things. After these two experiences, I did my MBA. Right? So MBA is where I mean, it opens up to a lot of different people. It opens your mind. You start learning about economics. You start learning about strategy. Start learning about finance. You learn about all of these things, which really help you to grow as a leader. So I did my MBA at Great Lakes Institute of Management. Thankful to all my professors who were really amazing. And my first formal assignment as a business analyst was with Virtusa. And my first customer was Truven Health, which is now called Meritive. So again, so there they have an analytics application that employers use to find the best health plan for their employees. So this is Truven Health, and selling their solution to customers. Their customers are employers, and they kind of have a solution which goes through all of the claims data, right? Claims data of the past, and does analysis. So I was brought as a business analyst, contributing. Obviously, the product was owned by Truven, but there was some amount of work that was done from Virtusa side again, right? So that was, I would say, my first introduction to Agile, right, and Agile methodologies. So there was a Scrum team assigned, and we were working regularly with that Scrum team, trying to analyze requirements. We had a lot of use cases that was handled on the Virtusa side. So all of those things, that was the, I would say, the my first formal engagement as a business analyst. After that, I think Krishna joined Virtusa, and then I was reporting to Krishna. And there, after Truven, I handled two more. I was part of two other healthcare projects. One as part of Cardinal Health, where we were actually working on a solution to connect the patients and providers, similar to how Practo works today, right? You, as a patient, go and look for a doctor, and doctors give their slots and I mean, their availability. And we were working on an application like that. And after that, moved to Standard Chartered Bank, where I worked as a business analyst. uh, Here it was a corporate banking application, basically doing payroll payments, to do your vendor payments, or all of that. There was an older application, and we were kind of rebuilding or modernizing the entire application. It's called Straight to Bank. The application is called Straight to Bank. So we were building Straight to Bank next gen. So I was part of that. I handled some amount of reporting. So I was the business analyst for reporting, and that was mostly about as a business analyst. So if you can go to the next slide, Krishna.
Sure.
Yeah. So as a product manager, yeah, I after Standard Chartered, as I said, I joined American Express. A very good friend of mine from MBA days kind of referred me. He said there's a very nice, interesting role, and something that is a little different for me. It was on understanding the private cloud, on-prem cloud kind of business. So uh, so they needed a product manager for their enterprise cloud practice. So within the enterprise cloud practice, there was a section called database as a service, and there were 2000 applications within Amex, and getting a database for these application teams was a huge nightmare. It took about 3 4 weeks. So that was the biggest problem statement, and we had to come up with a solution. So I was the owner of dbas.axp.com, which was a REST API based application where any of the application teams could request for databases, and they could get those databases in a few minutes. uh, and similar kind of experience is what I'm doing in my current role. So I currently work with Nutanix, and I'm a principal product manager. So at American Express, the application was internal and dealing with internal stakeholders. Here is we have a product called Nutanix Database Service. You can go Google it. It is a very popular product among enterprises, and this is for all the enterprises to basically manage their databases: Oracle, SQL Server, Postgres, MongoDB, MySQL, MariaDB. NDB basically helps customer manage their databases, not only do provisioning, do day two life cycle operations like patching of databases, setting up backup recovery for databases. So all of this is basically what the product does. I am one of the principal product managers, so we are a team of 4 product managers, and since the product has varied database engines, does a lot of things, so we have like clearly defined roles and responsibilities that we look into. At Nutanix, we don't use the traditional PRDs, right? We use PRFAQs. PRFAQs has been promoted by Amazon quite a bit, and so that is what we are using at Nutanix. So that's basically my journey from a business analyst to product manager. I think the most important slides are the next 2 slides, I would say. So this is about the experience, but what did I learn, right? So if you can go to the next slide, Krishna.
Yeah, before going to the next slide, you just introduced two terms, PRD and PRFAQs. Can you
Yeah,
little bit elaborate on that?
sure. So PRDs are basically product requirement documents, right? So I mean, there are multiple formats that customers use or companies use, but PRDs are mostly in a very structured format where you have what is the business problem, what is the business problem, what is the customer problem, trying to establish the functional requirements, non-functional requirements, and I mean I don't have the exact format in front of me, but I'm sure there are standard formats in which the PRDs are written. Again, you define the different use cases, and for each use case you define what are the functional requirements and so on and so forth. PRFAQ. Yeah, PRFAQ is a tool that I think Amazon uses. I think it's picking up quite a bit. PRFAQ is basically press release FAQ, right? So press release is where so basically if you see any of the offerings from Amazon, right, today, if you open any of the offerings, whether it's an EC2 or RDS or Aurora, Postgres, or anything, you just open their page, you will see a summary, right? And you will see a little bit about the product, and then you will see a lot of FAQs, right? So this is how Amazon operates. So then the PR will have the what, the why, and the how, right? So what are we trying to achieve, right? Or what does this product do? So just a couple of lines about that, and what are the core benefits of that? Why are we doing it? What is the major customer issue, customer pain point, and for which we are building this solution? The third paragraph is a little bit going into the how, right? How can the customer use the product? What would their experience be within the product? That would be the press release. So this will go out into the press. So every time Amazon does like their events, or like their annual event that they have, or if Nutanix does events, so we will have a press release for a particular feature, or if we are doing it for a specific release, right? If we are doing some like major changes or major features that we are releasing, we are doing major integrations, like we are integrating with Azure, right? In our in the next year. So we will be integrating with Azure, and our product will be working very well with Azure. So that is something that we will do. So we will have a press release for that. All the requirements and doubts and questions and clarifications come in the FAQ. So we will have something called an external FAQ and the internal FAQ. As external FAQ is where uh, all of the customer FAQs. Basically, why should I use this feature? What is the most important part of this feature, right? And what am I getting as part of this feature? What am I not getting as part of this feature, right? And if I use this feature, different experiences, right? Let's assume that I'm trying to enable. I don't know how technical people are, but just Oracle RAC database. So we introduced something called Oracle support for Oracle RAC databases within our product, right? So what is that we offer, right? How can the customers provision or Oracle RAC databases? How would the patching work for that? Will it be rolling, not rolling? All of those things, and then think from a engineer's perspective, right? Think from the engineer's perspective as to what questions they might have, right? Because engineers definitely say, what is the customer asking for? What is the pain point of the customer? Will the customer go left or will the customer go right, right? Just just generic questions. So all of those clarifications in a FAQ section. So that will be the internal FAQ. So external FAQ, internal FAQ targeted towards engineering product within the organization. External FAQ typically targeted for the customer. So this is the generic format of a PR FAQ, and I think a lot of companies are adopting this because this gives a lot of clarity, and anyone having any questions adds on an FAQ and it gets clarified as an FAQ. So did I clarify the question, Krishna?
Yes, yes,
Great, nice. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
There's a question on chat as well. Uh,
Yeah, I see a few questions. Okay. I
yeah.
always thought product managers are mostly from the business or marketing side, but looks like there are technical product manager roles too. So I will come to it. I think in my upcoming slides, you will understand that. So again, right, what kind of a product are you into, right? If it is a B2C kind of a product or a B2B product also where the end customers are somebody else, right? So a simple example that um, like Standard Chartered Bank is building a straight to bank application, which is a B2B application where the end customers are enterprises or companies who will basically use this application to manage all their payments, right? So so understanding that and understanding the business side of things, understanding how the end customers will use is all of the things that the product manager does. But let's assume that we are building a technical product, right? Let's assume the entire AWS stack is a technical product. The entire Azure is a technical product. The entire Google Cloud is a technical product, right? And all of these things have technologies behind it, right? So you might offer technology as a service, technology. So all of this is technical products or technology products for which you definitely need to understand. Otherwise, then you will not be able to handle that. Again, this is also a customer use case because the end customer is IT teams within organizations. Let's assume, so the people who use my product today, Nutanix database service, is all of the DBA teams or the database teams or the infrastructure teams within banks. So we have all of the Indian banks which are customers. We have US banks like Wells Fargo, American Express, all of these that are using this product. So their core business is something else, but their customer or their internal IT teams are our customers, and they are basically our customers and using our product. So to this question, yes, we have to definitely think from the business side. You have to understand what business we are in, right? Whether we are doing like retail business, manufacturing business, or just tech business. Tech itself is business, right? So understanding that. So yeah, I think Haspal Singh has also answered a few things. Yeah, PRD is working. Yes, yeah, PRD, the basic structure. Yeah, as Haspal Singh said, problem statement discovery, your different research, your user personas. Yeah, I missed the personas. They are very important. Understanding your competitors. Yeah, and it's the solution. Understanding the different use cases, building user stories around that. GTM matrices, wireframes. Yeah. So this is I think good inputs from the folks on the chat as well. Okay, so coming to I think we're 30 minutes I still want to keep some time for questions, if any. But yeah, so learning as a business analyst. Again, just a disclaimer: these are just thoughts purely based on my experience, are not as part of any theory, or I have not picked it up from any documents or anything. It's just based on my experience as a business analyst. A lot of companies use the term business analyst, product owner, product manager varyingly, right? Interchangeably, but I would just wherever I have worked as a business analyst, I'll talk about that. I think the most important thing as a business analyst is an eye for detail. Right? You need to understand problems. First of all, you need to, if there is a problem, you need to understand that there is some kind of problem that is happening, right? And I hear the term requirements gathering, right? But it's not always gathering. Right? You need to elicit. A lot of times, people don't know about requirements. You have to basically talk them into telling their requirements. You need to, and that is very closely associated to the problem statement, right? From the problem, they will obviously come up with some kind of solution or some kind of requirements around the problem, right? So eliciting requirements is very important. Systems thinking is very important for, I would say, see, understanding how a system works, how systems interact with each other, right? Understanding the different checks and balances and levers within the system, right? So having that kind of system thinking, that if I do something, how does it interact with another part of the application that somebody else is using, right? So that kind of systems thinking is very important. And also systems thinking from breaking down the problem, right? This is the problem, this is the high level context, this is the major problem, how do I break it down, right, into smaller chunks? And in those smaller chunks, what are the use cases, how are the interactions, what are the happy parts, what are the negative parts? All of those things is what is systems thinking. Understanding data, yeah, data is very, very important. You can't do stuff without data, right? As I said, in my second year working as a developer itself, we were faced with some challenges. We had to go back and refer data. We had to see some trends. We had to see that all of the tickets that have come in the past, what has been the historical trend, what is the secondary data that I have, right? You go through Gartner reports, you go through Forrester reports, understand which are the companies that are like in the challengers, who are in going who are the leaders in the market. So understanding all of the different kind of data, and not only going at secondary data, even primary data, right? How has somebody been using the application already, right? I'm sure all of you are using ChatGPT these days. So ChatGPT for any kind of validation, checking here, checking there. So I would say data is something that you have to analyze, and you have to be able to analyze and deduce some findings from that data, right? So that is most important, right? Finding analyzing data is fine, but what, after analyzing the data, what do we do, right? What kind of decision making does that data kind of push through? So I would say this is important. And the more, I mean, as working as a business analyst, I have seen one thing that's very important. People are always looking up to you for some kind of answer, right? You have to give vision, you have to give direction. People are looking, I mean, are just not looking at a document, are looking for you to talk to them, are looking for you to basically give them documents, come up with FRDs, use case documents, user stories, acceptance criteria, come up with wireframes. Everyone wants some kind of direction from from business analysts, right? So I would say that you have to be very good at documentation was something that I realized as a business analyst. At least wherever I have worked, it's all been agile, agile, agile. Right? So agile has been the mantra. Even 15 years later, even the current company where I'm working for, agile is where the developers are working. I mean, the development teams are working in agile. Right? Companies are expecting you to know agile tools like Jira, Rally, and so on and so forth. So, and if you see Scrum and others, if you see Safe Agile, there is this product owner role, right? Business analyst, great, right? But if you're going to be working in agile teams, you have to accept the product owner role. You have to own the backlog, right? You have to own the backlog. You have to make sure that you have documented the problems, use cases. You have created user stories. No need to own the backlog. Talk to stakeholders and groom it, right? Understand, talk to SMEs, talk to people who are experts in the field, and groom your backlog. Make sure that you have the right things in the backlog, in your user stories. Understanding your stakeholder, right? who is the end customer, who are you working with, and what is their role, right? Are you working with a customer representative? So when we were working in Virtusa, right, we're a services company. So we are working with customers. We have customer representatives, but their end customer could be different. Like for Truven, right, their end customers were employers, right? But Truven was a customer for Virtusa, and I was working as a business analyst for Truven, right, and trying to solve their problems and trying to solve their use cases. So understanding who the actual end customer is, understanding who you are working with, what is their role, what kind of power do they have, what kind of um, influence do they have, right? All of that is very important. Yeah. Understanding difference between
Oh, I
internal
thought.
stakeholders, external stakeholders. Am I audible, Krishna?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
audible.
Yeah. Understanding stakeholders, internal stakeholders, external stakeholders is very important, right? And the most important, I would say, is communication, right? Regular communication, status reports, regular connects with key stakeholders, engineering, QA, customer, clients, speaking with confidence, right? Basically, in whichever meetings you are presenting something, or if you are part of a backlog grooming session, if you are part of any session, I mean, people are expecting that you are going to be driving the session. So you will have to ooze that confidence. You will have to show that confidence. You'll have to say that you own the room, you own the backlog, you own the direction. So that kind of an ownership mindset is something that you have to build, right? And communicate effectively. Um, Also, as a business analyst, as I said, right, you might or you might not be working on an actual product, right? You might be just working with customers, trying to understand their problems, trying to do some analysis, trying to come up with, you might be doing a consultation job, right? What McKinsey and others do, right? They come, they look at your problems, will give you a solution, give you a slide pack and go away. So you might be just looking at problems from a business angle and doing, there might not be a product to be at the back end, right? A simple example, Virtusa, while at Virtusa, one of our teams had done a project with McDonald's. This was just to understand uh, that in one particular location, right? Why was it taking longer for people to get their deliveries, right? So it was some kind of consultation job, but even there, right, you have to analyze problems, you have to look at it with a critical eye, right? All of these things. So this has been my learnings mostly as a business analyst. Now going into the next slide, Krishna. Okay, product management, what is different, right? So all of what I said, right, as a business analyst plus more is what I would say is a product manager. For me, right, the journey from a business analyst, product owner to a product manager has been definitely something that has been a progression, a natural progression is what I would say. If you're doing product management, you are definitely working with a product, right? If you are not working with a product, you are doing maybe pseudo product management. So you definitely have a product that you own and you will be working as a product. You are the true owner of the product. So as a product manager, you are the true owner of the product, right? As a business analyst, you might not be the true owner, right? There might be other stakeholders who own the vision, who own direction, and they might tell you to just, okay, this is the use case, go and find out more about it, elicit the requirements, hash out the functional requirements, hash out the use cases and others. But as a product manager, you are the true owner of the product. Everyone is looking for answers from you, everyone. So the most important thing as a product manager, if you're ever going to be a product manager, be patient, be empathetic, right? Because you are going to be dealing, I'll be talking about all of the stakeholders that you will be dealing with, but be patient, be empathetic. Obviously confidence is the most important thing, as I said. Having clarity of vision, right? What are you trying to achieve? What is your product principle? What is the product vision? What are you trying to achieve with the product? Focus on clear and simple communication. And I say for clear and simple, not all stakeholders are of the same knowledge level, right? Some people know a bit, some people just understand at the high level. So you have to keep your communication clear and simple. You have to be a storyteller, right? The most important thing. People are looking for answers, are looking also for background, looking for some kind of a story behind it. Balance between a high level strategic view while attention to finer details, that makes the difference, right? So basically, you definitely have to have that 50,000 view. see where the product is going, what are your goals of the product, but also look at the finer details. Okay, what are the different features, what are my differentiators in the product, what am I introducing in the product that will just bring it apart from the rest of the products that are there in the market. Understanding your competitors, all of those things, right? So as a product manager, I will just say that there are multiple stakeholders you have to work with, right? All of those things that I said, looking at backlog, all of those things in smaller companies might not be possible. You might not have the leverage always of working with business analysts. You might have to own everything. Like currently for us in Nutanix, we are 4 or 5 product managers. We are also working on internal FAQs, as I said, which go into every feature in detail, hashing out, sometimes even into the technicalities of the requirements. So you might not always work with like product owners or business analysts. In Safe Agile, it talks about having product owners, product management as an upper layer, but not all companies work in Safe, right? So just about working with different stakeholders, as I said, as a product manager, you are owning the vision, you are owning everything. So who are the people who reach out to you? First, at least with my experience that I've been working for the last 2 years with Nutanix, the most important people who reach out to us are sales folks, right? Sales people who are, so we have a dedicated sales team for our product who are going to the market, talking to customers, and selling our product, right? If there's nobody who's selling your product is never, I mean, it's not going to do well. So the most important people for the product are the sellers. So the sellers, what do, right? They don't understand every nitty gritty of the product, right? They don't understand the exceptions within the product, whether this works, that works. They will just say that this is the generic vision. They will go and sell the product to the customer. And then let's assume there's a feature missing, right? And there's some nuance missing, right? That is missing in the product, and without which the customer can't go into production. So that is where product needs to come into the discussion. Talk to customer, see if you can give a temporary workaround, see if you can include it in your next release, see how the customer can be brought to a better state, right? So sales will talk to different customers, get different perspectives from the field, from the industry, and then come back to us and talk to product and say that, hey, you know what, this is what the field is asking, this is what the customers are asking. Looks like this feature of yours is like a hot cake, it's selling really fast, customers are really interested. Looks like this feature doesn't, I mean, customers are not asking for as much, right? The second thing is talking to actual customers, right? So we have, at least I go on a regular basis, I talk to the most important customers of our product. I have a meeting next week that I'll be visiting. So customers are always putting you on the back foot, right? There are some customers who are really happy, but there are some customers who always want to challenge you. That is because they want to see more, right? They want to make sure that the product is giving them the bang for the buck, right? So they'll say, hey, you know what, this competing product is doing this in like half the cost or one-fourth the cost, and is doing like with better performance. What are you going to do? So then come up with an answer. As a product manager, you need to be there to give answers, right? Customers are like complaining, hey, you know what, these features are not working, or this is basically bringing down my productivity. What do we do, right? As my boss used to say at Nutanix, now he's moved to another organization. He used to say that as product managers, we are chief apology officer. So go in front of customers and apologize, because at the end of it, they are talking about the product, right? It has already been sold to them. They get the best price, but things are not working. So then we have to make sure that we convince them, hey, you know what, wait for some releases and you will get what you want. Or we are going to work with you, make sure you have a workaround and do stuff. So working with sales, working with customers, working with engineering and QA and your internal stakeholder, as I said, the biggest part about this is working with internal stakeholders. Internal stakeholders, they will always ask you, why does the customer want this? Why isn't the customer happy with something that we have already given, right? But the customer wants something better. The engineer has said that we've already delivered something. Why isn't the customer happy? So trying to bring that customer perspective to engineering, giving that guidance. I think a lot of the work that we are doing is working with engineering, making sure that we are steering them in the right direction, right? They're looking for answers. We have to give them requirements, clear requirements, right? And suddenly engineers throw up some challenges. They say that, you know what, we had planned to deliver this feature in this particular release, but it's getting delayed by 3 months. You have already informed the customers about the quarter that you're going to release. So customers are now unhappy. So being that kind of a liaison between engineering, between customer sales, right? Also UX, right? Yeah, so I'm just talking a few more stakeholders that we regularly talk to. UX people within organizations, they're asking to understand what would be the customer behavior. Hey, if the customer clicks this button, where do they go? If they click on this, what happens? Does the customer download this or do this or do that? How would the API experience be? How would the CLI experience be? So all of these things, right? If you don't have the leverage of having a business analyst who can hash out these requirements, product owners or product managers are also doing these things, right? So apart from that, right, we are product managers. We own a product. So the CEO of the company is saying, hey, you know what, okay, your product is doing so much revenue, so what are you doing to bring down cost and increase the revenue, right? So answering those, so we have like these QBR sessions with our CEO, head of product, head of finance, all of those people. So mostly the most critical stakeholders of Nutanix. So we are interacting with them on a quarterly basis, and they are asking us all of these challenging questions for which we need to have answers, right? Marketing gets involved in all of the marketing collaterals, and all of the marketing strategies, planning events, right? We're doing some strategic partnerships, so partnerships, alliances, marketing. So all of these things getting into those. Recently we had to stop support of a particular thing that we were doing just because legally we could not do it, right? Because there was some license change, right? It changed from open source to GNU, which kind of made it restrictive. So legal teams, they would come in, they will do analysis, they will give you some direction, right? So working with legal, working with support, right? The most important thing is after you've sold the product, right? What is the support experience? What is the NPS that you're getting from customers? How important, I mean, what kind of telemetry are you getting? How are customers using the product, right? Making sure that the support is top notch. Support always doesn't know the issues underneath. They will come back to us, they will come back to engineering will come back to product. We need an enhancement, we need improvements in the product. So as a product manager, you are basically involved with all of these people, right? Just the last one more thing, procurement. So we've, at least for our product, we need licenses for other third party vendors. We need to do some testing with our product if those integrations are working or not. So getting those licenses take about 3-4 months to get. So I spoke about my experience as a product manager working with different stakeholders, and I'm also doing all of those things that I was doing as a business analyst. So that's what I would say. So as a product manager, you do what you were doing as a business analyst, critical thinking, attention to detail. But then as a product manager, you have to do much more. You have to deal with a lot more stakeholders. You need to definitely own the product, and people are looking at you for answers, right? And if you do not have answers, then you're not the product manager, then you will be replaced by somebody else, right? So an effective product manager is one who obviously, as I said, empathetic, right? Understanding people, understanding, clarity of thought, clarity of vision, all of these things is the most important thing as a product manager. So yeah, that's mainly, as I would say, my learnings from as a business analyst, as a product manager, right? And how my experience has been. Maybe the last slide you can go to, Krishna.
Yep.
Yeah. So as I said, this is my last slide. I don't have any more. I'll open up to questions. But so my transition from business analyst and to product manager has been smooth and a very logical progression for me. So it's just been like, from one step to another, it's been very, very natural. Once you were dealing with internal stakeholders, now you start talking to customers, then you talk to partners, you talk to sales folks. So it is very, very natural. As you go up the ladder, then you start empathizing with all these different roles, and as a product manager, as you grow as a product manager, and then you'll have to definitely get into leadership roles, head of product management, where we'll have multiple products. So yeah, so it's been a good journey till now. Embracing change and continuous learning, this has been the only constant, right? You have to embrace change. There will be changes that keep coming up, right? Today what we are thinking is the industry direction can change within a jiffy, right? The entire chat GPT and AI era has brought a complete change in the industry. It's just not a, earlier people used to talk about smack. Smack is now gone, right? Now people talk about AI, right? Machine learning, all of these things, which can also change, right? It's not a given, right? All of these things also can change. So embracing change and continuous learning, right? For me, moving from doing functional product owner, BA kind of a role, to doing product management for a completely different kind of a product, DBaaS kind of a product, understanding cloud, understanding how cloud works, public cloud, private cloud, understanding all of those things. So learning has been a constant, right? Every day has been something new, I would say. As I reflect on my journey, I'm very grateful for every experience that has kind of shaped me. So working with people like Krishna, my peers, my bosses, working in the various organizations. So it has been a great experience for me. So yeah, that's, I think I have taken majority of the time. Krishna, that's it from my side. If you have
Yeah.
anything else, I
So
can.
I'm just checking the questions in the chat. Anyone has any questions?
Uh, sir, can I ask actually?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, it's a very beautiful, sir, you have really talented in a very kind of a way manner from business analysis to product management, kind of a really the smooth and logical progression which you really have. I was so happy for that, and your success stories and everything. But I want to do this activity like preparing the product requirements documents, business cases. I want to do
Yeah.
this, but can this happen when I gonna do soulfully, or I have to enter into a company and I work on the product, or can I do it myself? Since that I
Uh,
can ask you.
okay. If I understood the question correctly, are you saying that is there a way that you can do all of these independently and without being part of a company? Is that the question?
Yes,
I think
that's real. That's
Okay.
can I do it
Uh,
perfectly?
sorry.
I want to do it perfectly actually.
Okay.
So
Prithvi, I think I mean, yeah. See, the thing is that I think there are multiple ways of looking at it. Right? For the first thing is, see, anybody who's building even a business for that matter, there is some kind of customer problem in front of that person, and he looks for an opportunity, right? Looks for a problem, looks for customer pain points, and sees that there is kind of some kind of solution, right? And nobody will just jump into something without doing analysis, without doing all of these research, and without actually putting their thoughts into some kind of paper. So if you have some kind of idea, or if you go online, I'm sure there are a lot of simulation exercises to work as a product manager, right? You can pick up a few use cases and see, right, what are the customer pain points, right? I'm sure even the IIBA should have a lot of use cases. So you can just pick up those use cases and and take a 360 view around it, right? Just try and understand what are the different requirements around that, what are the different pain points, requirements, and then start building your PRD or a PRFAQ, and then it will become very very easy for you going forward, right? You build your PRFAQ or your PRD around the business problem, try and think of some kind of solution. It could just be something that is factual, right? It couldn't might not be an actual solution, but think about any kind of a solution that you might have, right? Could be a physical solution, could be a software solution. Think about a solution and just think about how that solution would be. What is the customer experience? What are the different personas, right? Who would use the product? How would you go about it? So you can pick up any use case for that matter, right? For example, let's assume that somebody tells you, gives you a use case. You know what, do you use Swiggy very regularly? Yes, I do use Swiggy. What would you do to, what would be a new offering that you would introduce in Swiggy, right, for that matter? These are a lot of things asked as interview questions, also as product for in product manager interviews, where they ask you what is the most favorite product of yours and what would you do to improve that product, what is the new revenue stream that you would bring about. So you can look for those, and you can start building some kind of documentation around it. It will be a very very interesting journey, right? So that would be my answer. I hope
I
I answered
really
your question.
agree that it is going to be very, very interesting. But I'm
Sorry,
just really
Prithvi.
afraid that whether I can do all these workflows, like workflows and
Sorry,
everything in a
Prithvi.
perfect manner.
Sorry to cut you short. We have a few more points to cover, uh, and a few more questions from other people as well. Um, so before going to the next question, I just want to mention that we have called for dynamic volunteers from our ABHNA chapter. We have 4 different functions within the ABHNA chapter: event management, professional development, and marketing and communications, and community engagement. So if any of you are interested in becoming a volunteer, let us know. You can connect with me or phone or email. So whichever one.
Sir, excuse me.
Sorry, Prithvi, just hold on. We'll go for the other persons, right? We need to give chance for other people as well. So we'll go for the next question. This is there from Jay Chaudhary. Uh, Jay, over to you. Jay or Jignesh? Jay, Jignesh.
Hi, hi, Krishna. So my question is, um, what differentiates a B2B product manager from a B2C product manager, and how important is creating a product portfolio for a product manager?
Okay. Uh, okay. So I have, I'll say that I have not worked again. B2C, B2B is, see, at the heart of B2B or B2C are common principles and common practices as a product manager that you need to maintain, right? So whether it's a B2C or a B2B, right? The main thing is understanding the customer. Who are the users of the product? Who are the different personas of the product? What are the customer problems, right? The most important problems that the customer is facing, right? For a B2B customer, it could be different, right? They might be looking at it completely differently. They might be not worried about cost. They might not be thinking about revenue. I mean, they might not be thinking, not, they might not be that price sensitive. They might not be such that cost sensitive. But a B2C customer will be very, very price sensitive, right? So you need to understand. And I would say B2C customers, there's a lot of secondary research that has to be done, right? Because you are talking about the end customer, you are dealing in like thousands and millions of customers, mostly customers. So a lot of secondary research, secondary data. There's a lot of market research firms that are in the field. So talking to them, getting secondary data, getting and doing analysis on secondary data is most important, I would say, from a B2C perspective. B2B, there are a lot of very, very important customers that you get to talk to. You can do focus group discussions with those customers. You can bring them into a room, because it's in a B2B space, there are not too many players. There are very few SMEs in the space, and at a very senior level. If you just talk about banks in India, right? So all the CIOs, you can literally count them on the hand, right? So there are about 10, 15 CIOs who meet very regularly for all the banks within India. So then they have common problems. They have common restrictions from RBI. So they have, so then what you can do is you can do focus group discussions with them. So I would say that at the heart of it, it's understanding the customer, trying to understand what are their pain points, what is the value proposition you bring, right? What is the value you bring? How do you basically make that difference for the customer? What is the differentiating factor for that customer? For a B2C customer, there would be a lot of focus on user experience, right? Even a small change in the user experience can cause like a lot of customers to either just uninstall your app or would get them to install your app, right? But a B2B customer might not be that sensitive to UX, right? But they're looking at the bigger picture. Can they do thousands of things within like within one click, right? They might be wanting to do huge complex problem solving stuff, right? For them, that is more important. So I would say that, see, from a B2B and a B2C customer, I mean, perspective, product perspective, at the heart of it, it is the customer, understanding the customer and understanding the problems and defining solutions around it. There would be definitely changes in how you operate between the different types of customers. How important it is to have experience, again, it is very, very subjective. So you can, a lot of people like working in the B2C space. A lot of people have become SMEs in the B2B space, right? Just working with the space I'm in currently, there are very, very few people working in this whole database as a service space. So if I continue working on this, I become an SME in the space. So then there are, I mean, you grow as a leader in this space. In the B2C space, right? You might have common problems. You might have a lot of competitors. A lot of competitors go to market might be very, very quick, right? So you have to release your product within 1-2 weeks to have that differentiator. So there's a lot of changes. I think this is I think it's a can of worms, a meeting. I mean, a discussion for another meeting, I would say. But at a high level, these are the most important points, I would say, from a B2C and a B2B perspective. Did I answer your question, Jay, Jignesh? I'm not sure who asked the question.
It was Jignesh who asked the
Yeah.
question.
Thanks. Yeah, it answered the questions. One more question was that like, is
Jignesh,
it
sorry, we are
yeah,
restricting to one question per person. Okay.
okay.
And
Thanks.
yeah. So next one is about the study group that I wanted to mention. There are a couple of points that I want to mention. If anyone is CBAP certified and would like to be a facilitator, please connect with either me or Purni. So I can share my number over here. Okay. In the chat, I have provided the number. You can connect with me or Purni if anybody is interested in becoming a facilitator for the study group. Also, if anybody wants to join in the study group now, we have already two knowledge areas covered already. So if you want to join the study group now, we can still allow people to join in the study group for the IABS certifications, ECBA, CCBA, and CBAP. You can again connect with me or Purni, and we can offer a 30% discount because like you have already missed uh, about 4 to 5 sessions, and you will need to cover that through the recording. So because of that, we can provide a discount of 30%. So if anybody is interested in the study group for the IBA certification, ECBS, CCBS, CPAP, let us know. Over to the audience for the next question. Jay, Jay, are you there? I think Jay has dropped off. Anyone else wants to ask question?
Hi, this is
Yeah.
Pratap here. Am I audible?
Yeah, Pratap, you're audible.
Okay. Thanks, Raghu. It was a great session, very informative. I'm currently into a mid-senior kind of a role as a business analyst, and I'm looking at transitioning into a product management role. So I
Okay.
just want to understand how to position ourselves, as because I see a lot of opportunities. They look for significant amount of experience as a product management role, especially into
Correct.
the senior positions. So I
Yes.
just want to understand any tips or inputs from your side on how to position ourselves as we
Yeah.
try to look into or move into a product management role.
Sure. I think similar question has been asked by Murli also. I think so. I'll try and answer both of your questions with the same answer. So a great question. I think from moving from a business analyst to a product owner or a product management kind of a role is something a lot of people are seeking, right? And it is a natural question. So there are a few certifications around this, right? So there are product management certifications available in the market. Simple certifications from SAFE is there, POPM is there, right? But see, at the heart of it, right? First thing, right, in your resumes, if you're working on in agile teams, you can change your title from business analyst to product owners, because working in agile teams, you are doing a lot of these things already, right? The other things are that in most of the product management interviews that I have attended, there have been case studies. There have been case studies for which I have had to come up with a complete presentation. So what would definitely help is doing a few case studies from your side, right? Trying to understand a few. See, these are very common questions that they ask in product management interviews, as I said, right? What is your most favorite product, right? What is what is the most important thing you like about the product? What do you not like about the product? Right? What would you introduce in the product that will be a game changer? Right? How would you build a solution for? I mean, how do you build a calculator for somebody who is blind? Right? Something like that. So all these unique questions you can find it even on the net. But what I'm saying from my perspective is choose a simple use case, something that you're currently working on, right? And think about what would be the problem statement, who are the customers who are whom you are targeting, and try and build a solution around it, build a case study around it. What will happen is any kind of interview that you are pitching yourself for, right? First thing I would say is if you're already working in agile teams, already pitch yourself as a product owner, right? Moving from a product owner to product manager should be okay, should be acceptable, right? In a lot of teams. So once you do that, right? Once you attend the interview, the most important thing is to have that product mindset, right? Trying to understand that you own the entire thing. You have to understand the customer problem. You have to come up with unique solution, understand the different personas, and you own end to end, right? You have to think about sales. You have to think about marketing. You have to think about engineering. You have to think about how as I said, right, the different stakeholders, legal, right, support, UX, all of these things. So you just can't think about the problem. What are the requirements for the problem? So think about all of these case studies, and always think about a product, right? Could be a hardware product, could be a software product, could be just a simple food app, or just a simple car, bike. Could pick any use case that you use on a daily basis. Could be just a simple toothbrush for that matter, right? Could be a simple pen that you're using. Everything is a product. Think about a product and think about who are the end customers about it. Just build a case study around it. A simple case study for you to work on, which I got in one of the interviews, right, was that you take a product and basically I built a solution around Swiggy. I don't know if I can share it. I'll share it with Krishna sometime. But I had built a slide pack around the Swiggy of how I would introduce some kind of a meal plan. Right, I see that now that has come up quite popular with a lot of food dodgies and CureFit and all of them doing some kind of meal plans. So that was an offering that I thought about like 5-6 years back, and I had pitched to one of my product management interviews, which they really liked. Right. So what I'm saying is that first thing would be is that apply, right? And I'm sure, and also look for all of the different keywords, right? You introduce the different stakeholders like sales, marketing, legal. So introduce them in your resume. Make sure that you have worked with them, or at least think about how, if you had to ever work with them, how would you work with them? So add that to your resume, right? Make sure you're talking about product in your resume, talking about vision, talking about what is the vision of the product, right? What are the, and talk about PRFAQs, PRDs. As a product management, bring all those keywords within your resume, then get picked up for the interview. And in interviews, right, you have to be ready for such questions. Be ready to come up with case studies, right? Answer case studies, or come up with a slide pack for how you would build your product strategy document, right? So you would come up with a strategy document or your roadmap document, right? What would be your 1 year roadmap? What would be your 3 year roadmap? What would be your 10 year roadmap? So coming up with all of these things. So if you start working around all of these things, it will give you great exposure. So pick up some use case and think about how you would do such things. And I'm sure, see, the transition from BA to PM is a very natural one. It is not going to be very hard, as long as you keep your eyes and ears open and think about the bigger picture. Right? Always think about the bigger picture and work on these. These will help you.
Thank you, Raghupati. Anyone else has any other question?
Not a question. I really want to thank Raghu and for his time and effort and assistance.
Thank you, Murli.
Thank you.
Sir, we have mentioned in the legal, actually not into product compliances, but as a disclaimer, why you have done that?
So sorry, I didn't get the question, Prithvi.
So in the presentation which you have shown, actually you have said that as a product manager, we have to care about different kind of departments and everything.
Yes.
So in that kind of in a legal, actually, you said that we have to work on the disclaimer, but not into product compliances. Why you have like when it got into product compliances, but rather than disclaimer?
I'm not understanding, but see,
So
from
he's
basic,
asking why you mentioned disclaimers that you'll be working on, but not into product compliances. Somewhere it seems you have mentioned while you were
no,
presenting
I
or
was just
sharing.
giving an example. I mean, I was just giving
Okay.
an example of how you
Okay.
work with legal, right? So,
Yeah.
from a legal perspective, you have to work on a lot of things, right? Understand basically if your code is secure or not, if you are following all of the compliances or not, if you have if you're following the state rules or not, if you're following the industry rules or not, like if you're maintaining a healthcare product, if you're following HIPAA guidelines or not. So maintaining compliance is one of those things. Second thing is what would be the legal implication of your product, right? If you are having some kind of licenses, or if you have some patents, if you have some intellectual property, right? Well, what
Yeah.
would be the legal thing, right? And
Yeah.
there are a lot of open source products in the market, so you might be reusing those within your solution, right? I'm talking about software products, right? So if you're using software products, you're building software products, you might be using open source solutions, right? If you're doing any kind of redistribution, do you have the license to redistribute or not?
Yes.
So just
Yes.
giving you some examples of how legal will get involved, or how you have to get involved with legal and understand all of the things.
Sure, brother, like you have said about the end user license agreement, right? So how there will be a lot of kind of a reporter to review and to study that, and we have only on accepting that only we can get into the next installation phases. So is this really right? Because
So
I think I
yeah.
don't know like how
See, but
as
see,
a
the thing is, no. So the thing is, your question is right, right? Whether it's ethical or not, whether it's the right way of doing it or not. But legal doesn't work that way, right? Legality is, if something goes wrong, we have to have an acceptance agreement from the end user. If the end user has not accepted, if I do not have that kind of a end user agreement, then the end user can definitely sue. And normally, typically, users do, right? So at that point in time, are your lawyers and your legal team working with you, so then they will answer those things, right? And they will make sure that from a legal perspective you are covered, right? So yeah, I mean, it is something that is done. Whether it's ethical or not, I don't know, right? It's something, but it's a practice that is followed, right? That a lot of
yes, sir.
people do.
Yeah.
Practice that is followed. True.
Anyone else has any other question? We're already 13 minutes gone beyond the scheduled time.
Okay, I think no
Raghu,
questions. So thank you so much, Krishna, for inviting
thanks
me.
a lot for presenting the various perspectives.
Yeah,
You mentioned about sales, marketing,
yeah,
and customer support, operations support, and so many perspectives that you presented.
yeah.
What are the things that the product manager has to do? What are the
Correct.
skills that the business analysts need to get into? And need to acquire for becoming a product manager. How he can update the profile, and also what are the certifications that they can do. You have
Correct.
mentioned about that as well. Thanks so
Yeah.
much, Dr. Tija. So this was a really a great session, and I think this will inspire a lot of people to become the product managers, both the junior and senior level business analysts who are there in this meeting. I think it will inspire them to become the product managers. Uh, Thanks so much. We can close this session.
Sure. Thank you, Krishna, and thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.